to meet again. So this is Kenyatta University Television, and we are having the program called Elimu Live. So welcome to the program. Feel free. So we have mathematics today. Our lesson is mathematics. So we'll be looking at some specific things in mathematics. So we want to talk about perimeter. So anybody who is right from class 4 up to class 8, you're going to benefit in the lesson. So the lesson cuts across all the classes, class 4, class 5, 6, 7, and even class 8. So we are going to look at each part that is handled in different classes, because we know that the content is always spiral. So right from class 4, we develop our content up to class 8. So we look at perimeter, we'll define what perimeter is. Then we look at different figures whereby you can get the perimeter of the figures. So we'll be looking at irregular shapes. We'll also look at regular shapes, and we'll also look at the application of the perimeter in our real life situation. How is perimeter important? So we start by definition. So perimeter, what is perimeter? Perimeter is defined as the distance around a certain figure. So the distance around a figure, that is what is called perimeter. For instance, this is a duster. So this is a shape, and the shape of this duster is a rectangle. So the distance that covers around this duster from here, to this side, to this other side, is what is called a perimeter. This is a phone. So the distance from here to here, here to here, here to here, and here to here, that is what is called perimeter. And the last example, this is also a book. So this is an example of a book. So the distance that this book will cover around the whole surface, that is what we call perimeter. So in terms of definition, perimeter is defined as the distance around a particular figure. So perimeter, let me write, is the distance. Perimeter is the distance around a particular figure. Perimeter is the distance around a particular figure. So if you want to get the distance around a figure, you are getting perimeter. So there are figures that are definite or they are regular, they will have a formula. Whereas figures that do not have a specific shape, then they will not have a formula. So we'll just add the whole distance around the surface. For example, if I have such like a figure, so this figure does not have a specific name. So we can have measurements 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters, 4 centimeters, 1 centimeter, 5 centimeters, and maybe 2 centimeters. So if you look at this figure, we don't have a specific shape that we can classify this figure. So in this case, to get the perimeter, we have said that perimeter is the distance around a particular figure, which means if I start my movement from the start point, I will walk this direction up to there. I move this other direction up to there. I move this other direction up to there. I move this other direction up to there. This one up to there, then this one up to there. So when I do that, I will have covered the distance all around that figure. So it leads me to what we call perimeter. So therefore, perimeter here will be length plus length plus length plus length plus length plus length. So length plus length plus length plus length plus length plus length. So the first length is 2 centimeters. So I take 2 centimeters plus 3 centimeters plus 4 centimeters plus another 1 centimeter plus 5 centimeters plus 2 centimeters. So that will give me the perimeter, the distance that is covered. So this will give me the perimeter, which is given letter P. So 2 centimeters plus 3 centimeters, that gives you 5 centimeters. 5 centimeters plus 4 centimeters, that gives you 9 centimeters. 9 centimeters plus 1 centimeter, that is 10 centimeters. 10 centimeters plus 5 centimeters, that is 15 centimeters. Then 15 centimeters plus 2 centimeters, that is 17 centimeters. So the perimeter of my figure that I've drawn, this irregular figure, is 17 centimeters. So that is an example of calculation that involves an irregular figure. So when you are looking at the perimeter of an irregular figure, which means a figure that does not have any shape, you take the measurement of the length or the measurement of the side and add. If there are 7 sides, you add all the 7 sides. If there are 6, you do the same. Remember to put a star to show you where you are starting, so that you don't have double addition or you don't exclude some parts. So this applies to all irregular figures when you have been given or when you have been asked to get the perimeter. So in advanced setting, they will give different measurements here. So it is your duty to change the measurements into the same units. So if you are in a candidate class or a pre-candidate class, they will not give you centimeters all round. Maybe they'll give you centimeters, another part they will give you meters, another part they'll give you decimeters, decameters, hectometer. So it is you now to change all the units into the same units, and then you can calculate. But if it's a class 4 or a class 5, they will give you the same units. So you take perimeter and add all the lengths that are there. So that is the first example when it comes to irregular figures. So let's look at regular figures now, because we can't have different irregular figures. The application of the formula is the same. Just look for the length and add all of them. So let's look at the regular figures. Now when we look at regular figures here, we are going to look at 3 figures. We look at a rectangle, we will look at a square, and we will look at a triangle. So those are the regular figures that you're going to look at. So we start by a rectangle. So rectangle. A rectangle has different properties. So I said it cuts across the classes. So properties, this you can get it in class 7. So this is a rectangle. Now the properties of a rectangle are as follows. It has 2 opposite sides that are equal, which means this side is equal to this side. And the other opposite sides are also equal, which means this side is equal to this side. Remember, we are talking about perimeter, but we are incorporating in the whole thing. So we are looking at properties of a rectangle. So 2 opposite sides are equal. So this side and this side is equal. This side and this side is equal. That is 1. 2, it has all the corners are 90 degrees. So all these are 90 degrees. When we add all of them, it will lead us to 360 degrees. Now, those properties are important in calculation of the perimeter. So just like in irregular figures, we said perimeter is the distance around a figure. So this side of a rectangle is called the length and is always given letter L. And this side of a rectangle is called the width and is always given letter W. Now if this is L and this is the same, it also means this is length and this is also width. Now from my explanation, I said perimeter is the distance around the whole figure. So if I look at this figure, if I get the perimeter, it means I will move from point A up to point B, move from point B all the way up to point C, and then move from point C all the way up to point D, and I will not stop at point D. I will have to go back to point A. So when I do all this, this is what we call perimeter. Therefore, perimeter of this figure is going to be length, which is up here, that is the length, plus width, this is our width, plus length again, which is here, plus width again, which is here. So we have length plus width plus length plus width. So if we collect the like terms, we'll have 2 length plus 2 width. So from this, we can have a formula that can be used. So instead of writing 2L plus 2W, so you say perimeter is equals to 2 into brackets length plus width. So from that, we have come up with a formula whereby we say perimeter is equals to 2 into brackets length plus width. Now I have done this to show you how we are arriving to this formula. That's why I have done the addition. So this addition gives us our formula, which is 2 into brackets length plus width. So we use this formula to calculate the perimeter of a rectangle. So let's look at an example. Let's look at an example of that. So find the perimeter of a rectangle whose measurements are as follows. Find the perimeter of a rectangle whose measurements are as follows. So it has a length of 15 centimeters and width of 10 centimeters. So find the perimeter. We have an example here. Find the perimeter of a rectangle whose length is 15 centimeters and width is 10 centimeters. The first step is to draw. So the first step, you draw the rectangle. So this is how a rectangle looks like. So you draw the rectangle, that is the first step. The second step is to identify the measurements. So you identify the measurements and locate the measurements on your diagram. So we have a length of 15 centimeters. So 15 centimeters is right here. And we have a width of 10 centimeters. So this is our width. The width is 10 centimeters. So after you draw, you can now use that and use the formula to get the right answer. So what is the formula? Formula for perimeter is equals to 2 into brackets length plus width. Perimeter is equals to 2 into brackets length plus width. So we come here and look at our length. Length is 2. So perimeter in this case will be 2 into bracket. Length is 15 centimeters plus width. Width is 10 centimeters. So plus 10 centimeters. Then we add. BODMAS says we work out the brackets first. So we need to work out the brackets first and then you multiply later. So 2 into brackets, 15 plus 10, that is 25. So 25 centimeters. Then we multiply 2 times 25. Remember, we always open up brackets by multiplying. So we multiply 2 times 25 to get 50 centimeters. Therefore, the perimeter of this figure is equals to 50 centimeters. So this is the perimeter of that figure. Now that is, those are two examples. One was for an irregular shape. The other one was for a regular shape. The regular shape in this case was a rectangle. And a rectangle, we have looked at some of the properties of a rectangle that help us in calculation of perimeter. One of the properties is that two opposite sides are equal. So the length is equal to the other length and the width is equal to the other width. So we derive the formula from addition of all the sides. So once we derive the formula, we get perimeter is equals to 2 into brackets length plus width. Then having the formula, you replace the length with the width and work out and get your answer. And remember, perimeter is always given in terms of centimeters or meters. We don't square on, we don't put the squared sign or we don't put the cubed sign. So it's just centimeters. In choices you can have, for instance, this example, we got 50. So you can have choices 50 centimeters, 50 centimeters squared, or 50 centimeters cubed. Remember, the answer is always either centimeters or meters. So we can look at our third figure, which is a regular figure, and the third figure is a square. So we can look at the perimeter of a square. So we first of all look at the properties of a square. So we can look at the properties of a square, and the properties of the square will help us. The properties of the square will help us to get the perimeter. Now let's look at a square. So if I draw a square, so a square is a four-sided figure. Four-sided figures are called quadrilaterals. Four-sided figures are called quadrilaterals. So this is a square. The properties of a square: one, all the sides are equal. All the sides are equal. So we can call it side. So the side is equal to this side, is equals to this side, is equals to this side. And also, all the angles in a square are 90 degrees. Those are the few properties, or the two properties, that can help us calculate this sum. So this is an example of a square I have drawn here. A square is a four-sided figure whereby all the sides are equal. All the sides in a square are equal. So we can have an example that will require us to calculate the perimeter. So the question can be, find the perimeter, find the perimeter of a square, find the perimeter of a square of side 5 meters. Find the perimeter of a square of side 5 meters. So this is the question. You've been given such a question, and we need to find the perimeter. So the first thing is to always draw. So we draw the square. So we come here and draw the square. So the first step is to draw the square. So we draw the square, we draw our square. So this is the square that we have drawn, and we know that all the sides of the square are equal. Now one of the side is 5 centimeters, 5 meters. So this is 5 meters. If one of the side is 5 meters, it means all the other sides are 5 meters. 5 meters, 5 meters, 5 meters. So we come to our formula, whereby the formula is perimeter is equals to, we find the sides. So is side plus side plus side plus side. This is not 5, this means side, which we found here. So it means side plus side plus side plus side is the same as taking 4 times the sides. Therefore, perimeter of a square can be calculated by taking 4 times the measurement of one side, because all the sides are equal. Therefore, it is 4 to represent all the sides times 5 meters. So the measurement of perimeter is 4 times 5 meters. When you take 4 times 5, we get 20. Therefore, our perimeter of this square is 20 meters. The perimeter of this square is 20 meters. So you can have this as your calculation. You take the perimeter, which is side plus side plus side plus side. So instead of taking side plus side plus side, you make it simple. You take side times 4. When you take side times 4, you take 4 times 5, and your answer is 20. So your answer is 20 meters. So that is how we find the perimeter of a square. That is how we find the perimeter of a square, which is our second regular figure. The first regular figure was a rectangle, and the second regular figure was a square. Now, these figures that are regular, they have formulas. And formulas in mathematics make calculations easy. So it is good to memorize these formulas. So when we memorize the formulas, they help us in calculation, which becomes very easy to do and also to understand. So we can move to something else. And the other thing, we can be looking at a triangle, for instance, a triangle. So let's look at a triangle. A triangle is different from quadrilaterals. Quadrilaterals, I said, are four-sided figures, but a triangle is a three-sided figure. So this is what you call a triangle. Remember, just to take you back, we have types of triangles. I want to move to that a little quick to remind you so that you can benefit everybody right from class 4. So we have types of triangles, and the first type of triangle is this. That's the first type of a triangle, and it is called an equilateral triangle. The first type of a triangle is called equilateral triangle, whereby all the sides are equal. So that is an equilateral triangle. All the sides are equal. Then, number 2, we have what we call an isosceles triangle. So number 2, we have isosceles triangle. Equilateral triangle, from the word equal, all sides are equal. When you come to an isosceles triangle, two sides of the triangle are equal. Then we have a scalene type of a triangle. A scalene type of triangle, all the sides are not equal. So we don't have any one side that is equal to another. Then the last type of triangle is the one that I've drawn here, which is called a right-angled triangle. So it is called a right-angled triangle because of these 90 degrees. This box here always means the angle formed on these two lines is 90 degrees. So those are the types of triangles that we have. Now let's look at the perimeter of a three-sided figure, which is a triangle. So we want to find the perimeter of a triangle. So we add all the sides that we have in the triangle. So we first of all identify the sides. So this is called the base. We can give it letter H. This is called the height. We can give it letter H. Base, we've given it letter B. Height, we've given it H. Then we have the hypotenuse. We can have capital H and Y. So we know that perimeter is the distance around a figure. Therefore, perimeter of this figure will be base plus height plus hypotenuse. So base plus height plus hypotenuse. So in an example, you can have a question. So we have a question here. Find the perimeter of the figure below. Find the perimeter of the figure below. Find the perimeter of the figure. Find the perimeter of the figure below. Now the figure given, find the perimeter of the figure below. You can have such a figure. Then we have 3 centimeters, 4 centimeters, and 5 centimeters. So find the perimeter of the figure below, and the figure that you have is this. So we have 4 centimeters there, 3 centimeters, and 5 centimeters. So we come back to our formula. Perimeter is equals to base plus height plus hypotenuse. So we use that formula. Perimeter is equals to, our base is 3 centimeters. Our height is 4 centimeters. And our hypotenuse is 5 centimeters. So we add this. So we have 3 centimeters plus 4 centimeters plus 5 centimeters. 5 centimeters plus 4 centimeters, that is 9 centimeters. 9 centimeters plus 3 centimeters, that is 12 centimeters. Therefore, our perimeter of the triangle is 12 centimeters. So that is how we find the perimeter of a triangle. So a triangle is a three-sided figure. So that is our third type of a regular figure, which we can have formulas. Although when we come to triangles, the questions that are mostly set are always to find the area, not perimeter. But it's good to know how to work out both perimeter and area so that you can be on the safer side. Some other time, there will be a lesson on calculation of area. Now, the last type of regular figures that we want to look at is a circle. And a circle is a rounded figure. Now, the table that I'm using is an example of a circle, whereby it has a circular surface. So this table here, right here, I'm sure you can see it, is an example of a circle. So this is what I'm talking about. So this table right here is an example of a circle, and you can see that. Now, a circle, this is the table, you can see the surface. This is a circular surface. So this is an example of a circle. Thank you for that. Now, we need to find the perimeter of a circle, which is the distance that it covers. And in a circle, we have two things. We have a radius and we have a diameter. So a diameter is a line that cuts from one side of the circle to the other, and it passes in the middle. Whereas a radius is a half of the diameter. So we are going to use radius and diameter to calculate the perimeter of a circle. So let's look at a circle. So we have a circle here. So let's look at a circle and see the figure that is of a circle. So we have this figure here. So this is our figure that shows a circle. That is a circular figure. So we can all see that. That is a circular figure. Let me make it dark for you to see it. So that is a circle. Now in this circle, we have a line that cuts from here up to here. That straight line is called diameter. This straight line is called diameter, which is always shown by letter D. Now a half of the diameter is called radius, which is always given by letter R. So this is a circle and this is diameter. A half of diameter is what you call a radius. So our formula will come from these two. So the formula for finding the perimeter of a circle is pi d. The formula for finding the perimeter of a circle is pi d. Pi d is always given, which is always 22/7. So in this example, if you have been given the diameter as 14 centimeters. Diameter is 14 centimeters. So find the perimeter. The formula is perimeter is equals to pi d. Pi is 22/7 times diameter. Diameter is 14 centimeters. So times 14 centimeters. So when we work out this question, we will simplify. 7 can divide 7 1. 7 can divide 14 2 times. So 7 divides 7 1. 7 divides 14 2 times. So we take 22 times 2. 22 times 2, that is 44 centimeters. 22 times 2, that is 44 centimeters. So this is the perimeter of a circle. Now, sometimes they will not give you half a circle. They will not give you a full circle. You can be given a half a circle, a quarter circle, or 3/4 of a circle. Remember, the formula is the same. When you've been given a half a circle, you take the formula and multiply by a half. When you've been given a quarter circle, a quarter times pi, a half times pi, or 3/4 times pi, if it's 3/4. So because we are finding perimeter, and perimeter is the distance around a figure. When you've been given either a half, a quarter, or 3/4, remember to add the diameter. So perimeter is different from circumference. So let's work out perimeters, then we'll also look at circumference, which is slightly almost the same. Now let's look, this is a full circle. Let's have a half a circle with the same measurement. So we find diameter, we find perimeter of a circle. In this case, it is a half a circle. So it's a half a circle in this case, with the same measurement, 14 centimeters. Now let's see how we are going to find the perimeter. So perimeter in this case will be a half pi d. Remember, when we get half pi d, we are only getting the distance from here that is curved up to here. So that is pi. So when we take a half pi d, we are getting the distance up to there. So we need to add plus d. So we add the diameter to make it complete. So perimeter in this case is a half pi d plus d. A half pi d plus d. So we can calculate. So it is a half times 22/7 times d, which is 14 centimeters, plus d, which is 14 centimeters. So we simplify 2, 1, 2, 11. 7, 1, 7, 2. So when we multiply this, we multiply first before we add. 11 times 2, that is 22. So we have 22 centimeters plus 14 centimeters. So we have a half pi d plus d. We have to add the d. So 22 centimeters plus 14 centimeters leads us to 36 centimeters. So it means our perimeter of half a circle is 36 centimeters. Remember, the other one we got 44 centimeters. This one is 36 centimeters. So there is a slight difference. So let's look at a quarter circle. A quarter circle with the same measurements. So I want to wrap this just here. So we have a quarter of a circle. A quarter of a circle. So this is a quarter of a circle. So this can be 7 centimeters. Remember, when this is a quarter circle, this is radius. Because if I extend to make it full, I will get another radius here. So don't confuse this to be diameter. So this is radius because it is half. So if I have to find the perimeter of this quarter circle, this is a quarter circle here. So if I have to find the perimeter, is equals to a quarter pi d plus d. Why am I adding d? Because I will add this part. This is a quarter pi d. This is a quarter pi d. So plus d, because this is r plus r. So r and r gives me d. That's why I am adding d. I hope you understand. So which will be a quarter times 22/7 times d, which will be 14, because that is r. I've explained that, plus 14. So in this case, we simplify 7 here, 1, 7, 1, 7, 2. 2 here, 2, 2 here, 11. 2 here, 1, 2 here, 1. So when I take this 11 times 1 times 1, I get 11. So I take 11 plus 14. So 11 plus 14, I have my answer as 25 centimeters. So you can see the answers are reducing. The first one, we had 44 centimeters, which was a full circle with the same diameter. I'm using the same diameter so that you get the difference, because the perimeter of a whole circle cannot be equal to the perimeter of a quarter circle. So the first answer we got 44 centimeters. The second one, which was a half a circle, was 36. Now this is a quarter circle, we have 25. Now let's look at the last, which is 3/4 of a circle. So if I draw 3/4 of a circle, I'm still using this part here. So if I draw 3/4 of a circle, this is a full circle. This is a full circle. So 3/4 of a circle will be that part. So the area that is shaded here, this is 3/4 of a circle. So we can remove this part here to give you 3/4 of a circle. So we can have 7 centimeters because that is the radius. If we have an extension, this will now make the diameter. Remember, diameter has to reach up to the end. So this is 7, that is 7. So we are having radius at 7 centimeters. But our formula requires us to use diameter. So formula, perimeter is 3/4 pi d plus d. We are adding d because 3/4 pi d will only give us this part. 3/4 pi d is the measurement from there up to there. So that is 3/4 pi d. So we need to add the other measurement, which is from here up to here, and from here up to here. This is radius, this is radius. So radius plus radius will give us diameter. That's why we are putting plus d. So we solve 3/4 times 22/7 times 14 plus 14. So we work out the multiplication part. 7 1 7 2 2 1 2 2 2 1 2 11. So 3 times 11, we have our answer as 33 plus 14, which was originally there. So we can have those brackets. So 33 plus 14, that is 47 centimeters. So you can see that 3/4 of a circle, the measurement or the perimeter is higher at 47. Half a circle was 44. A quarter circle was also less. So those are perimeters of circles, whether it's a full circle, a semicircle, a quarter circle, or 3/4 of a circle. So I wanted to give you the difference between perimeter and circumference. Circumference is the distance around a curved surface, but perimeter is the distance around a whole figure. So when we work out circumference of circles, if it's a full circle, the circumference is pi d. If it's a half a circle, is a half pi d. We don't need the d. We add d if it's perimeter. I hope you are getting the difference. When it is 3/4 of a circle, we add 3/4 pi d. We don't add the d. So when we are calculating circumference, we don't add d, which is diameter. But when we are calculating perimeter, we include the diameter. I hope you have gotten that. Now the last bit of our lesson is application of perimeter in the real life situation. So there are questions that involve application of perimeter. So the first question, you can be given maybe a bicycle wheel. Let's say a bicycle wheel has a diameter of 2 meters and then it covered 20 revolution. What was the distance that was covered? So let's calculate such a question. So we have a bicycle wheel. So let's use figures. The figures might not make sense, but for the sake of calculation, we can have it. So we have a bicycle wheel of radius 7 centimeters. Of course, a bicycle wheel cannot have a radius of 7 centimeters, but you want to use it just to calculate. Then it made 20 revolutions. Revolutions mean the rotations, how many times it rotated. So what was the distance covered by the bicycle? First of all, you get the perimeter. So perimeter is pi d, which is 22/7. R is 7, so d is 14. 7 1 7 2. You get 44 centimeters. So it made 20 revolution. This is perimeter of 1 revolution. So multiply by 20. So when you multiply by 20, you get 880 centimeters. So we can always change this into meters. That will be 0.88 meters. So that is one application of perimeter. The other application of perimeter can be in terms of posts. For example, we can have a road which is 10 meters. A road 10 meters that was erected some electric posts. So this is a road 10 meters, and there are posts that were erected 2 meters apart. 2 meters, 2 meters. So you are asked how many posts were used. So to find the number of posts, take the whole measurement. So measurement over interval. If it's an open surface, we add 1. So the measurement is 10 meters over interval is 2 meters plus 1. 2, 1, 2, 5. So 5 plus 1, those are 6 posts. So that is how we calculate the number of posts in an open figure. And the last one is number of posts in a closed figure. So you can be told a person has a shamba in the form of a rectangle, and the measurements are as follows. So the shamba is in form of a rectangle, and the measurements are as follows. So we have 2 meters and 3 meters. This person planted trees at 1 meter apart. How many trees were planted? We get the perimeter first. Perimeter is 2 into brackets length plus width, which is 2 into brackets 2 meters plus 3 meters. So that is 2 meters plus 3 meters, that is 5 meters. So 2 times 5, you get 10 meters. So 10 meters is the perimeter. So to find the number of posts that were planted, you take the perimeter and divide by the interval. Remember, if it's a closed figure, we don't add 1. If it's an open figure, we add 1. So this is 10 meters. Divide by 1, you get your answer as 10 posts. So the number of posts that were put, or if it's trees, the number of trees will be 10. So those are few application of perimeter in our real life situations. So it can be in terms of revolutions, or planting of trees, or erecting electric wires. So I want to conclude my lesson at that point. So I've been your teacher, Teacher Steplaton. Have a day ahead.